You Nashville Predators have made a bit of a splash. Are you getting excited to start this season or what?
Yeah, actually really excited. I mean, just well, summer's flying by. We got to head back to Nashville in like just under 2 weeks. School starts everywhere in the South like middle of August, so
Jeez.
we got to get down there. I think like August 12th. Yeah, everywhere in the South, like guys who play in Florida and Texas and Missouri and where all those places. School starts early, which you're a little bit thinking it's a bit premature to get down there early, but you start talking to guys and guys are starting to filter in guys with school and guys without kids and just sort of everyone's getting back together. And it used to be, I remember like you go to camp, September 10th or 15th, but now it just gets earlier and earlier and everyone's kind of fired up to get down there. And it's no different this year for us. But yeah, well, obviously some great additions this off season, and yeah, anytime you see sort of your roster change overnight on free agency, it's fires you up and motivates you for sure.
Shannon fires me up to have you back on. So great to see that face. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great summer. You talk about Stamkos, man. That's the big one to me that sort of came out of nowhere. First and foremost, how stunned were you that he actually moved on, or that Tampa moved on from him? And number two, what type of role did you play in getting Stammer to Nashville?
Well, first of all, like everyone in the hockey world, you would have to you were thinking he was going to go back to Tampa. Somehow you'd think there'd be a way, right? So and not only, just because he's been there for so long and been the captain and, won there and, you know, first ballot Hall of Famer, the whole list of things that he's achieved, but also he had a really good year. I mean, he had 40 goals last year, and it's not like he's kind of, had a tough year and on the downslope. He was really productive. And, I watched the first round of playoffs this year, and, he was really, really good in playoffs too. So, obviously, change of direction and business gets in the way sometimes, and that's the way it goes. And you know, to see him land in Nashville, obviously really exciting, and to have, I guess your question about having a role in it. Stammer and I are really good buddies. We've played together. I met him back, I think, when we were in under 18s. We were roommates. That would have been 18, 19 years ago, I guess. So we've been really good buddies ever since then. Yeah, that's dating myself, I guess. And then yeah, obviously playing World Juniors together. We played a couple World Championships together. Our wives are pretty good friends, and obviously to spend the 2 years together in Tampa made us even closer, and continue to be good friends and talk all the time. And then obviously, just being a friend, kind of, having an idea what was going on, obviously talked a little bit. But it's one of those situations where, he's such a smart guy. You don't want to push a guy, especially when the emotion involved of him being in one spot, throughout his whole career. You don't want to be, pushing him one way or another. I think he had to make his own decision, and talked and just kind of shot him straight about the facts about, what Nashville is like. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Obviously he had to make his own decision, what was best for him and his family. But definitely talked throughout the summer. And like I said, it's more of a friendship and good buddies rather than a sales job.
We know how you like to work the phones, human. You're like a GM. Well, you're like a Reg Denlop, except GM slash player. That comes with the 17 years of experience you got, buddy. Speaking of which, I don't know if anyone's kind of put this on the radar yet, but you're flirting with a big old number coming up very soon in the season. You're close to 1,000, my man.
Yeah. I mean, I started talking about it got brought up last year, and I think as soon as I started talking, I ended up getting injured out of training camp, and ended up missing 6 or 7 weeks. So yeah, I try not to talk about it. But I mean, it's obviously, it's like a lot of players. You have certain goals when you enter the league, and I think, one of the things was for me is when I got sent down, to the American Hockey League. I think I was about 700 games in or so, and 29 years old, and somehow it's still on my radar to try to climb back and get there. So it's always been a goal, and I just, try to, I guess, have longevity in the league. And when you have longevity and try to be consistent and try to get better, you hit certain numbers. So I mean, yeah, I'm not there yet. Still got, training camp to go, and a few more games, but for sure
Still got
it's
to make the
something that's
team, Lukey. Hey, still got to make the team. Still that mentality, hey.
Well, no, it's you always fighting for a spot, but it's the other thing too. Everything's got to go right in order to get there too. I mean, so it's yeah. Don't take anything for granted. Put it that way, Dose Train. Don't take anything for granted.
Hey,
What
buddy,
did
I
you
remember.
get to? What did you get to? Let's talk about what are your career numbers there?
I was tickling a $120 there. I was getting mighty close. I got cut short though. A lot of
Hey,
scratches. A lot of scratches.
I was gonna say you must have had at least double that in scratches, and that's not a chirp. It's like you had a lot of days on roster though, is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I think I was 280 on roster or something, but certainly didn't play them all. But I remember that year, Luke, where you were having a downturn in the American League. You'd never stepped foot in the American League. It was, peaks and valleys with this game, and you were in a valley at the time, and things weren't awesome. I remember talking to you kind of every other day, and you have crawled out of that with, some pretty awesome integrity and made something pretty special. So when you do hit that 1,000 silver Twiggy mark, I'll be pretty happy for you, bud.
Well, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we had a lot of good conversations. I remember because I was driving from Newport Beach to San Diego, and I think you were kind of just starting the next chapter in your life too, if I
Yeah,
remember
I was just
correctly.
retired.
Exactly. So yeah, we had some good conversations then. Obviously, a lot of good conversations sitting together on the plane for those few years in Toronto and Philly, and continued on for my car drives to San Diego and back. You'd be good call to have for me and break things down. So no, it's good to have like that, and you surround yourself with good people. It always helps out, and if and when it happens, I expect you to make the trip.
We'll see if I can get time off Leafs morning take.
Well,
I was just gonna say I
you
can
did
comfortably
surprise me
say
last year.
pardon
You
me?
did surprise me last. No, I was going to say Jay did make a surprise appearance last year to Nashville, and we ended up at the Bluebird Cafe together. So
That was a nice
you're
little evening, wasn't it?
you're probably due for another trip.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to tell you, Schenner, as well. There's been our company does these things called Nation Vacations, where essentially we bring some of our podcast listeners along with us on the road. And I think it's going to be Nashville when the Leafs visit there in March. So we'll try to link up with you, try to do some podcast stuff, maybe bringing us around town a bit. But that would be a lot of fun to circle back to that. I was just going to get in and tap into your post career. I think obviously you have a lot left in the tank, but have you given any consideration to what you want to do after your career on the ice is done, like GM, scout, insider, maybe?
Scout.
No. I mean, obviously you give it some thought. You're always thinking about it. Even I think, when you first enter the league, what your post-playing career is going to look like, but I haven't nailed anything down yet. I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing is when you stay in hockey, whether it's on the management side or whatever, it's a big, talking to a lot of buddies who are now done playing and who are on that management side or coaching side of things, it's a bigger time commitment than it is playing, obviously, with all the trips you got to make overseas to go watch players, or down to the American League or go watch junior levels. So yeah, I don't know, I haven't really crossed that bridge. And I think the biggest thing is if you do go down that path, you don't want to be stuck working with someone that you don't see eye to eye with. It's a lot of relationship based and trust and stuff like that. So no, I haven't really put a ton of thought into it. And I think obviously it'd be nice to have some stability. I've played in a lot of places over the years too, so you don't want to get caught moving around everywhere either. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see whether it's in hockey or whether it's not in hockey. Got some young kids and stuff like that too, so it'd be nice to kind of pay a little more attention to them. But we'll see where I end up. And the nice thing is it'll be nice to I think have a few options when I'm done.
Lukey, onto the
The
Leafs a little bit.
insider's not on the list, though. The insider's not on the list. I'll leave that to you
I can
guys.
imagine you grinding it out as a scout 28 days in the bloody junior rink. I can see that happening for sure.
Actually, our good buddy, actually, I'm at my son's got a little hockey camp this week in Kelowna, and Cody Franson's scouting now with Nashville, and he just lives down the street from us, and
franchise.
he's out of town scouting in Calgary, and I just picked up his little boy to bring him out to hockey too. So yeah, the scouting, it never ends. Like, I mean, I think he's scouting in Calgary this week and under 18s next week in Edmonton. So that's a grind, but obviously it's rewarding when you put in the work and you get the right one and help the team. But it's a lot of days on the road for sure.
For sure. Moving on to the Leafs a little bit, Luke, you've got the unique perspective of knowing the Maple Leafs dressing room intimately, and you've also been coached by Craig Berube. So that's kind of a big, change in that locker room. based on what you know on both sides of things, how do you think that's going to change things in that locker room?
Yeah, I mean, you played for Chief too, right? Was he your assistant or head coach? Yeah. So I mean, you got the same perspective as me. I think he's a great coach. I mean, he says it like it is. There's no sugarcoating anything. He just kind of what you want in a coach, or personally, it's someone that's like black and white and just no gray area. You know where you stand all the time. Shoot you straight. If you're not playing good, he's going to let you know. If you're playing good, sometimes he'll leave you alone, or sometimes he'll come up to you and say, keep going, whatever it is. So I think it's good. And I think it's good in that market too.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.